Just across the river, by the way, a lot of focus on New York, obviously, rightfully so as well. New Jersey, one of two states, along with Virginia, that will be electing a new governor today. Huge deal in both those states for tens of millions of Americans. Our Brooke Shafer tracking those races for us live this morning. Good morning, Brooke.
Hey, Blake, good morning to you. I want to start here with some breaking news we just got into our newsroom that will impact this critical election in New Jersey today. There are reports coming in this morning that multiple polling locations in New Jersey have changed because of police activity. As of right now, that's all we know, with at least one county telling us that the change happened out of an abundance of caution. But as I said, Blake, this is going to impact the election today, a critical one that voters in New Jersey say is about affordability.
The main thing with this race is that the governors, whoever wins, they think about the people. People are suffering, and it's too much politics going on.
I would say the number one thing probably is taxes. The cost of living is very high. A lot of retired people can't afford to live here, so they're moving out of state. And I think that's probably the biggest issue that has to be addressed.
New Jersey Congresswoman Markie Martin is hoping to keep a Democrat in the Garden State governor's office. She seemed confident in her final stops yesterday, touting the more than 1 million New Jerseyans who have already voted. But Republican State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, he sees an opportunity in the traditionally blue-leaning state after President Trump successfully flipped several counties there last year. President Trump joined Ciattarelli for a tele-rally in his final hours of campaigning yesterday. The president also gave a final push to voters in Virginia overnight, who are today poised to elect their first woman governor, Republican Winsome Earl-Sears or Democrat Abigail Spanberger, who campaigned with former President Barack Obama over the weekend. The Trump administration has been a major talking point in this campaign in Virginia, where nearly 54% of voters say they disapprove of the job the president is doing. The state is also home to tens of thousands of federal workers who've now been furloughed with the government shut down. So the White House likely on the minds of a lot of voters there today.
I've not seen anything good come out of the people that are running the country now in the state of Virginia.
There are some folks that want to bring attention to some people that are challenged right now. And some of those people are challenged, and we understand that. But there are things in place to help those people.
Today's elections in New Jersey and in Virginia are considered the first major test of how voters are feeling about the current administration.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.